Hi, this is Lee. I had a question from a viewer who wanted to know how you can make a trapezoid with rounded corners. And so I was going to show one easy way to do that. Now, probably everybody knows that you can select the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle with rounded corners by dragging this little circle right here. So if I drag that up to the corner, I get sharp corners. If I click it and drag down, I get rounded corners. But how would you draw an irregular shape like a trapezoid or a parallelogram that had rounded corners and you wanted them all to be equal and not have to go in and curve them all by hand? So the way I would do that, I would take this square and go ahead or rectangle and go ahead and round the corners, then change that to a path, object to path. And then what you can do, if you double click on it, you will see that now the nodes, it has two nodes in each corner. And what you can do is you can click and drag to select both of those corner nodes, and then you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. And if I hold down Shift and do the arrow keys, I can move that large amounts at once. As you see, now I've got a rounded irregular shape. And then you could go back in and you could clean those corners up if you wanted to make it a little less roundy or rounded in a different way. And so now that's fairly easy. Then if you wanted to change this, a different corner, you go back and you can do those too. And if you wanted it to be equal, you could count the number of steps that you do, or you could also use skew. I'm going to delete this and show you one other thing. I'll draw that. Now if I wanted to transform this, I'll show you. If that window's not usually open, you do Shift Control M to open the transform window. Click on skew and then type in an angle for the horizontal or the vertical skew that you want. I might do like -10 and say apply. Okay, now you've got a skewed one. So that's just another way to do it. Now, one other thing. What if you have a rectangle and you want, say, two of the sides to be rounded and two of the sides to be square? Well, there's a fairly easy way to do that too. So let me just duplicate that, Control D to duplicate, and I'll pull that one off to the side. There's still both rectangles, so I'm going to double click on that one and pull that little circle up to give one of them sharp corners and one of them, the first one I do round corners. I will take both of those and change them to paths. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw another square on top of this one, select both, and do path difference. Then I'll turn on my snapping tools over here, and I'm just going to line this one exactly up with that, the corner of that over there, and then I'll select both and union them. And now I've got a nice perfect rectangle with two square corners and two rounded corners. So I hope that that gives you some tips for different ways that you can manipulate shapes in Inkscape to give you more variety and draw the shapes that you want easily without having to draw it by hand. Thanks for watching.